Conference on Achieving Leadership for India in Science and Technology.
With a huge round of applause, let us all welcome them amidst us. You all will be delighted to know that former Chairman, Atomic Energy Commission of India, Padma Vibhushan, Dr. Anil Kakotkar, would be virtually present before us to grace this occasion as the Honorable Chief Guest.
We will also be joined virtually by the Honorable Chairman, Honorable Member, Niti Aayog, Planning Commission of India, Dr. V.K. Saraswat. Ladies and gentlemen, may we request the organizing members to escort our dignitaries on the dais. We would like to invite Dr. Abhijit Mukherjee, from IIT Kharagpur, followed by Dr. Binoy Kumar Saikia from CSIR NAIS, Jorhat. We have Dr. Jimon virtually would be joining us within a few seconds of time. We would like to invite Dr. Kanak Saha, we would like the member of the organizing committee, please escort him to the dais. We have Dr. Kaira Sai Krishnan, need to be escorted to the dais. We have Dr. Kinshuk Das Gupta, need to be escorted to the dais. We would like to invite Dr. Vatsala Tirumala, need to be escorted. We are very delighted that we have Professor B.N. Goswami virtually with us. We would like to invite on stage Dr. Prasanta Goswami, need to be escorted. Finally, we would like to invite Dr. P.K. Misra, co-chairman of this National Organizing Committee and the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Kaziranga University. We are also very delighted to have Professor Gangan Pathak Pratap. He is present virtually with us. We are very elated to have his presence virtually in this national conference.
The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of one who prays.
We would like to call up on stage a student of our university, Dolly, to invoke the Almighty, the Unseen. So we would like to invite her on the stage for the invocation to the Unseen, to the Almighty. Please be here.
May we all rise and invoke the Unseen, the Almighty, to grace us this evening.
नमस्कार. दीप ज्योति परम ज्योति, दीप ज्योति परम ज्योति, दीप ज्योति जनार्दनः, दीपो हरतु मे पापं, दीपो ज्योति नमोस्तुते. शुभं करोतु कल्याणम्, आरोग्यं सुखसम्पदः, देशबुद्धिविनाशाय आत्मज्योति नमोस्तुते. आत्मज्योति प्रदीप्राय ब्रह्मज्योति नमोस्तुते. ब्रह्मज्योति प्रदीप्ताय गुरुर्ज्योति नमोस्तुते. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dolly.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You can please take your own seats.
We cordially request Dr. P.K. Mishra, Co-Chairman of the National Organizing Committee and Honorable Vice Chancellor, to felicitate the dignitaries in present mementos as a token of appreciation.
We would like to felicitate Dr. Abhijit Mukherjee from IIT Kharagpur with a Fulam traditional gamosa and a token as a present, as a sign of appreciation. Followed by Dr. Vinod Kumar Saikia, Dr. Vinod Kumar Saikia before you, to be felicitated by Dr. P.K. Mishra with a Fulam gamosa as a token of love, respect and honor. We would like to felicitate Dr. Kanak Saha from Pune. We have Dr. Kairat Sai Krishnan, Department of Biology from Pune. We have Dr. Kinshuk Das Gupta from BARC, Mumbai. We would like to felicitate Dr. Vatsala Thirumalai from NCBS, TIFR, Bangalore. We would like to felicitate Dr. Prasanta Goswami, Chairman, IFSA, Bangalore. we invite and welcome all the dignitaries on the dais to approach to the traditional lighting of this lamp. We invite and welcome it is customary in this part of our country when we organize any kind of auspicious occasion, we deserve to have the blessings of the Almighty, and the lighting of the lamp itself will testify that the Almighty, the Unseen, will usher in us that positive energy to one and all present out here and to make this occasion and even a grand success. A very good evening to one and all present out here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this National Conference on Achieving Leadership for India in Science and Technology, ALIST 2022, jointly organized by the Assam Kaziranga University and the Institute of Frontier Science and Application. In short, we call it IFSA, Bangalore.
At this moment, we would like to acknowledge Numaligarh Refinery Limited and CSIR NIST Jorhat for extending sponsorship to organize this beautiful event.
We are excited indeed to note that this national conference would be attended by renowned scientists and representatives from various scientific and technological organizations. With such a diverse and dynamic representation, we can't wait to kickstart formally these 3-day learning opportunities in this fantastic forum.
We have someone very special to formally welcome the gathering. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for giving us the gift of your presence to invite the co-chairman of the National Organizing Committee and our Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Assam Kaziranga University, Dr. P.K. Mishra sir, to deliver his exhilarating welcome address.
So please.
Very good afternoon to everybody, especially the distinguished Shanti Sarab Bhatnagar awardees who have come from all over the country to this place. I believe you all have taken a lot of trouble to come from places like Mumbai, Bangalore, Pune, Kharagpur, but it's a privilege and proud moment for all the family members of Kaziranga University that we have been able to invite such a galaxy of distinguished scientists from all over India to be present among us. Friends, for the brief introduction of Kaziranga University, the university is established as a part of CSR activity of one of the very prestigious industry house or corporate house which originated from this city, Jorhat. I always take pride in mentioning again and again the vision, the hard work and the endeavor of a person who is today 90 plus, Mr. M.D. Khetan. He came to Jorhat 60 years before, and it took him 14 days to reach Jorhat from Jaipur. And he started his career as accountant with a salary of 30 rupees per month. By sheer hard work, dedication, and ethics in business, he could create a corporate empire of 1,000 crore. A chance meeting with his son, Mr. Basant Khetan, in Calcutta, resulted in the creation of a university called Kaziranga University, this place. We thought of starting this university in 2008, and the place where all of us are sitting, it was a paddy field and probably 10 feet below the road level. So from 2008 till 2012, the able son of Mr. M.D. Khetan, Sri Basant Khetan, worked hard day and night to realize the dream of his father to establish a university, an educational institute, the specific reason being to give back to the society because they have grown from this soil, and whatever they have gained from this state of Assam, from Northeast, and from this city of Jorhat. So I request all of you to give a big applause to that man who dreamt of creating such a university in such a place. I still remember when I was telling to my friends in Bhubaneswar, I come from Odisha, that I am in the process of establishing a university with one of my friends from Jorhat. Many people even, they are surprised to know why somebody is going from Bhubaneswar to Jorhat. It is safe to travel in Assam. Still people outside Assam have a different perception of Assam. But to cut it short, if you have dedication, hard work, and aspiration, nothing is impossible. And again, I still remember when we were having a discussion, Mr. M.D. Khetan was telling, Mr. Ji, is it possible? हम यहाँ कर सकते हैं? And the immediate response from all of us was that if this Pilani could be established in a desert 60, 70 years before, and till today, this is one of the best private professional university in the country, why we cannot do something in this place? So this is the genesis, history behind the creation of Kaziranga University. The first batch started in 2012. We have just completed 10 years of our existence. We believe this is the phase of existence. And with the help of all these distinguished scientists, well-wishers and advisors, we are sure the next 10 years will be the years of excellence. We need the support, guidance, and blessings of all of you to see that such a university from Northeast will emerge as one of the best university in the country in the coming years to come. I request Dr. Goswami to kindly educate our students, our faculty members and everybody the importance of getting a Santi Swarup Bhatnagar Award. I always tell that Santi Swarup Bhatnagar Award is the Nobel Prize of India, and you all should be privileged to have 8 Bhatnagar awardees sitting inside this auditorium at this point of time. I think, if I am correct, it has never happened anywhere, at least in India, where a conclave of Bhatnagar awardees could be organized. So thank you again, all these distinguished scientists who have faith in us, and who have come all the way from all over the country to share your knowledge, your wisdom and guidance for the success of Kaziranga University. So with this brief introduction, I once again welcome all of you to the family of Kaziranga University, and I believe this will not be one occasion for all of you to come and forget us. We will have the continuing relationship with all of you for the growth and development of Kaziranga University. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Co-Chairman of this national conference and Honorable Vice Chancellor of the Assam Kaziranga University. Your thought-provoking address will definitely set a platform for eminent speakers to deliver their presentations in the areas of achieving leadership for India in science and technology.
Well, as William Ralph Inge, an English author, once said, the aim of education is the knowledge not of fact but of values.
Coming up next, ladies and gentlemen, much awaited item on the agenda, because it's now time for us to pay attention to know about the overview of this national conference. And indeed, it is an honor for us to introduce before you a distinguished gentleman who is a chairman, National Organizing Committee, and chairman IFSA.
He is a computational geoscientist and climatologist. He is known for his studies on the tropical atmospheric variability across the time scales. He was awarded the Shanti Swarup Bhatnagar Prize for Science and Technology for his contribution to Earth, atmosphere, ocean, and planetary science in 2001. He is also known to have pioneered long-range, high-resolution dynamical forecasting of monsoon in India, for which he developed innovative methodologies, algorithms, models, and applications.
With such a glittering and outstanding set of achievements, it is our honor to invite Dr. Prasanta Goswami. Ladies and gentlemen, please put together your hands and welcome him to the lectern. So please.
Thank you very much. So, first of all, we are blessed with virtual presence of Dr. Anil Kapoor, as you know, the former chairman of India's Atomic Energy Commission, Dr. V.K. Saraswat, who is also the chairman of this session and honorable member of NITI Aayog. We also have with us other eminent scientists joining virtually, like Dr. Gangan Pratap, who is also very senior eminent scientist. So I hope that they can all hear that, and I also welcome them on my behalf. I would like to extend my welcome also to my fellow Bhatnagar awardees, Dr. P.K. Mishra, Vice Chairman, Chancellor of Kaziranga University. I think I see a few from administration also, and also my students and colleagues from Kaziranga University and friends from media. I think, as Dr. Mishra said, this is a very unique event because what we have here is a very multidisciplinary expertise at the cutting edge. Multidisciplinary because, as you can see, each awardee is for a particular discipline. The award is given in a particular discipline. And also because they are sort of young scientists of India, young scientific leaders of India. We took a conscious decision to invite specifically emphasizing those who had a long run ahead of them, and of course to be guided by peers like Dr. Kapoor, Dr. Saraswat, and Dr. Pratap and others. So this is what we call you are looking at a spear point, at the cutting edge of Indian science, with which we hope that along with your joining the force, will make a difference. But I would like to say that we should move in a systematic way, and at the risk of being or sounding pedantic, I will even say that we should have a clear definition of what we mean by scientific leadership. What will be the metric of it? Do we have consensus on this? So among the 7 or 8 present here and the others who will be joining through either virtually, I'm not sure if Jimon could join yet, but he is also there. And, Dr. Sastry, Director NAIST, Professor B.M. Goswami, and he unfortunately had some infection, so had difficulty, but he was interested to join. So some of these issues we should go and address at a basic and fundamental level. So let us have a consensus definition of scientific leadership. How shall we measure it? We do not necessarily follow only the conventional definition. It should be more inclusive, but certainly, of course, publication, citation, impact factor, those are all standard. We will take them into account. The other question that will come up when we talk about R&D research is the fund or resource. Once again, I would like to request that I know funding is all important, and you cannot do much without it. But I think we should also be careful in what we ask or what we say we need. I often hear a very standard response that R&D funding should be increased by this percentage of GDP or that percentage of GDP. So question is that I very rarely hear people talking about expenditures. How that funding is going to be spent or utilized. And the question is that if we want to increase the funding, before that I think we should have a very well thought out expenditure plan. That this is the way it will be spent in an equitable, in an inclusive manner. And cutting across boundaries of all organizations, I do not think that categorization of institutions is a very good idea. It should be based on merit of a particular proposal rather than anything else. So that's another issue I would like to flag that we discuss on it. And thirdly, of course, the related issue that what should be the planning of management of our R&D asset. There was a time when it is still there. Do we need, for example, some high-end equipment, a teraflop computer, a transmission electron microscope in every laboratory, in every institution? Is it necessary? Have we taken advantage of advances in IT, information technology innovations? This telescope, the 2-meter telescope at Ladakh, Hanle, is actually operated from Bangalore, which the precision required in right assumption and declination, the kind of even a slight mistake will make a telescope hybrid, but they are still doing it remotely from Bangalore at Ladakh. And similar thing, advances in robotics, in artificial intelligence, in remote sensing can be applied to, for example, should we have central parks of R&D parks where you can have several of them, but in a time-share protocol, so that optimum utilization of resources are always limited. So it's something again I would like to flag for you to discuss sometime in the next 2 days, even today. The similar thing that comes to mind when you think about it is that what is holding back our young scientists? I mean, talking about, you are all young scientists, but I'm talking about younger than you, even at students level. There are some very down-to-earth problems. Think about, for example, a bright student trying to publish a research paper. Immediately he faces the hurdle of publication fee. Right? And you are all at a level where you don't need to worry about it. You have projects, you have other funding sources, but think about a student or a young research scholar who is trying to publish something, establish his identity. So he has a big hurdle. So should we have some mechanism to support these students in a case by case without worrying about whether it belongs to this institute or that institute, government institute or private institute? it is the quality of the paper, quality of the work that should matter. And there should be some mechanism dedicated for that. It will not be tagged to a particular project, right? So that's one. The other hurdle you see is this, the typical bias in the international journals in publishing. I remember that, for example, I say something from my discipline. If event of fog in New York may merit publication in Nature, but a fog in a bowl of the Gangetic Plain will be rejected by saying that it is not of global interest. So this is a very typical bias you face. And why is that happening? It's happening because in India we do not have a high impact research journal. And the one that we have, Dr. Ganan Pradap is there, is very closely related to current science, and you know the difficulties, wait period that you may have for current science, or which is actually almost the best in India right now, among the published from India. So should we also have, encourage research publications, such journals, without being a predatory journal, as you know. So it's something again I'm just throwing open for discussion. Perhaps there should be special assistance and grants to publish such journals, so that it will not have the evil of the publication fee. So similarly, the other thing that India it's a growing power. It's already the fifth largest economy. By 2027, it is likely to become the third largest economy, and we don't know. And it's now at 75th year of independence. So by 2047, by 100th year, we hope it may be coming first. Who knows? History has sometimes ironical ways of doing things. So the question is that, but where are we in the leadership in science and technology? We are probably not so much as in terms of economic development. And why is it happening? So is it because that government is not giving enough funding, or is it because the scientists are not being able to come up with big enough ideas? We need to introspect as scientists. It is very easy to say, oh, funding is this problem. Of course, there are always problems. We cannot expect that we go with a proposal and it will be approved across the table and funded. So there will be always, those the rose and the thorns are they always go together. It's part of life. But do we have such big ideas? So I, for example, think that the 30-meter telescope project, DST was bold enough to put in 1,000 crores for India's part. India is part of the tokamak, the fusion reactor thing. And India has now several items to show. You take the 1999 nuclear test, then the Orihant nuclear submarine, the Indian indigenous aircraft carrier 1, the old products from DRDO, and of course from ISRO. So India has, in a sense, proved this metal that okay, it can handle big ideas, big projects. The question is that can we, in pure science meaning these are in a way, people will say those are more of technology, but no technology comes without good science. So can we have maybe this will be the platform, initiating platform of such big ideas? So this is again, I'm just throwing open to you. So these are not conclusions. I'm just trying to be stimulating, not trying to give advice or trying to give even directions. So we hope that in the next few sessions we will address some of these issues and many more with your inputs and with guidance from the peers. I'm happy to share with you that in a humble way we have started something. We have it has to start somewhere. So we have started IFSA with Kaziranga University as a knowledge partner, a multidisciplinary journal, Frontiers in Science and Technology, where we do not charge any publication fee, where the review time is limited to 6 weeks. So these are some of the parameters. So even that with your help, if we can proceed, will be some contribution. So I would like to conclude once again by saying that let us do it in a way. We have left it pretty informal, unstructured. We would like to hear from you today as a warm-up session, and also for the benefit of Dr. Saraswat and Dr. Kakatkar, a little bit about each one of you. But after that, we will go into a round-robin fashion, take up issues once I mentioned or once not mentioned or suggested by you, and then try to come up with concrete recommendations and roadmap. So this whole event is not about, like Dr. Mishra has already said, you are already acknowledged leaders. So that is not the focus here, and that is why you are invited here. So we would like to have your inputs to create such a policy document. So I think we have an excellent batch of rapporteurs here, guided by also faculty members, who will try to record these proceedings, try to compile them, but we need your help to make it better. And then we will try to come up with I would say that will be the primary output of this whole event, and we will set the platform for future such events. So I seek your cooperation and contribution to that, and your suggestions will be very, very welcome. And as I said, these are some of the thoughts I have shared that you will have your own contributions to. So I thank all of you once again for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts. And I think we will first listen to our chief guest, and then the chairman, and after that we will listen to your, you could say, self-introduction or your expression of thoughts, and as an interactive session with both Dr. Kakatkar and Dr. Saraswat. And I see that Jimon has joined, and I think also okay. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights on the motive behind the birth of this national conference.
We are very elated to hear the words of wisdom from our today's honorable chief guest, Padma Vibhushan Dr. Anil Kakotkar, former chairman, Atomic Energy Commission of India.
Dr. Anil Kakotkar is a nuclear physicist and mechanical engineer. He was the chairman of the Atomic Energy Commission of India. He served as the director of the Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Trombay, from 1996 to 2000. Currently, he is AICTE Distinguished Chair Professor. He has also been instrumental in contributing immensely to India's strategic program. Amongst the chosen few involved in the first successful peaceful nuclear explosion experiment that India conducted at Pokhran in 1974. And later, he played a key role in the series of successful nuclear tests conducted during May 1998, again at Pokhran. Under his able leadership, India demonstrated nuclear submarine power pack technology.
On behalf of the Assam Kaziranga University and the Institute of Frontier Science and Application, Bangalore, we once again welcome you to this August gathering. Sir, the floor is yours now. Are we connected, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can we
So,
switch on the stage light?
yeah.
Off,
So,
off.
Dr. Saraswat, Dr. Goswami, Dr. P.K. Mishra, distinguished Bhatnagar awardees, a large number is present here in the audience and on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, let me express my gratitude for this opportunity to talk to you. I would have loved to be there physically at Jorhat, but scheduling constraints prevent me, and I am grateful to the organizers to facilitate this engagement through the technical means, the audio-visual conference. We are all assembled here for a very important discussion to look at how to take India forward, leveraging science and technology. And I am aware that this is a brainstorming session, and so at this moment, let me make only some initial remarks, and then maybe we can get into more comprehensive discussion. So I would like to share a few slides. Can I do that? Is my slide visible? Okay. So this conference aimed at looking at achieving leadership for India, I think it's well conceived, well timely, and I think you have a right constituency to discuss these issues, and I would like to compliment the organizers, the Institute of Frontier Science and Applications, as well as Assam Kaziranga University for facilitating this. It's very clear that science and technology is fundamental to human evolution, the progress of mankind, and also the growth of economy worldwide. It was just mentioned before me that India now is the 5th largest economy in the world. We recently gone ahead of United Kingdom, and by the end of this decade, one expects India to be the 3rd largest economy globally. Now, while these are numbers in real dollar terms, on dollar purchase parity terms, India is already number 3rd economy today. However, I would put it to you that this is more because of our demographic dividend, large number of youth that we have, and less because of our technological competitiveness or S&T competitiveness. If we make ourselves globally competitive in S&T domain, I think our GDP per capita would be comparable with the best in the world. And so, as against 128th or 160th place in GDP per capita terms, and that depends on what database you are using, but not a very respectable number. And I think it should be our objective, the scientific community, to take country to similar ranking, the 3rd ranking or something thereabouts, not just in terms of total GDP, but also in terms of GDP per capita. And to my mind, that should be our objective. Now, to realize that, we need to recognize that our higher research and education institutions, they need to be both creators of knowledge as well as creators of value. And I want to use value in the broadest possible sense and not just in terms of money. Now, there are three levels of value creation. Of course, you can look at it differently, but I want to put it in the context of these three levels. The topmost level, and I would again present to you that we are some distance away from that level. We are not yet there. And that level is able to create value by way of taking our, our institutions to be at the frontiers of knowledge. That perhaps we are able to do. But to be able to, up to frontiers of knowledge as well as be able to build cutting edge technologies together. Because R&D intensive high technology constitutes the main engine of economic growth in today's world. Further, new technologies that would exploit new knowledge domains are emerging, and this will continue as we go forward. For example, there are major advances taking place in genetics, quantum physics, cognitive and brain sciences, and we recognize that in India also we have groups engaged in these areas, but as I said, they are more in the context of knowledge in that domain and less in the context of building frontier technologies in this domain. We are still dependent heavily on technologies from outside. So this is what we should be able to achieve. The second level, which I think we are doing quite well, and that is adoption of procedural knowledge to create value. And I'm not talking about just the professional domain of engineers and doctors and architects and people like that. I am talking about across the board. We learn what others have learned and we emulate what others are doing to create value. You get technology transfer and create manufacturing, wealth creation and so on. These all go in that class. These do support the core economies, but I would still put it that it is largely by the muscle force and marginally by the nerve work and marginal brain activity. So actually we are contributing to economy, but it's actually, in my way of looking at it, a more peripheral contribution. The lowest level is, of course, we are all familiar, and it has been going on for a long time, leveraging raw resources to pay for imports, raw materials or raw oil, labor, which we have been exporting to earn money. And I think India should, we are not graduated away from that. Sooner we graduate, better it is. So I think we should be the main player in level 1, a significant player in level 2, and use our domestic resources only for our purpose, and also for that matter leverage resources from other places, other geographies to create value. That we should aim at. Now we notice that in these three levels, between move from 3 to 2 to 1, you are increasing in knowledge intensity, you are also moving up in terms of value creation potential, and this is the ladder that we need to negotiate. I'll come back to this point, but let me make this upfront that as we become competitive and try to reach the best level in the world, we should also be conscious about the fact that there are huge disparities. Growth in economy and growth in disparity somehow goes hand in hand, not only in India, but to most of the countries. Because the economic order, I think, has still not been mature enough to address this issue. And I think one of the keys to eliminating disparities is to make sure that we are able to leverage knowledge, not just at the higher echelons of our society, but across the board, even at the base of our socio-economic pyramid. And that, I think science and technology has a lot of role to play there. I think mention was made about locating Kaziranga University at Jorhat. And I think it makes immense sense to locate top-class universities in areas which are not well endowed to propel development. Now, having made that introduction, let me add that we need to make our R&D investments more productive. We did hear in an earlier presentation, but it looks to me that the Indian R&D expenditure is larger, and this data is actually 5 years old. It's published every year, but at least comparable to the R&D expenditure of countries like Israel, Canada, Sweden, UK, Switzerland, Finland. So I would have expected that in terms of technology products, import and export, we would be on par with these countries, which we are not. And I think that is a question that we need to address to make our R&D investments more productive, more efficient. Sometimes, we just think that because we are a large country, we have to cater to large number of people. So our resources may be getting spread thin, which they are, and I think we need to address that issue. But it's also true that the per full-time equivalent individual working in science and technology domain, spending in India is comparable with the best in the world. So that obviously is not an answer. I think at an individual plane, particularly when you compare in terms of dollar purchase parity terms, I think all of us are better provided for compared to many other countries. Another important feature that we need to address is the industry investment, which is growing, but it is still quite low compared to what is happening in advanced economies. So there is an urgent need to evolve and nurture conducive innovation ecosystem and respond to technology development demands. And this, to my mind, needs a mindset change across all domains: the society, the academia, the research institutions, industry, bureaucracy, political environment, the policymakers, and so on. Now, let me begin with the university system, which are the institutions both for higher education as well as research and development. This slide I have borrowed from the University of Tokyo. And it looks to me that barring a few exceptions, most of the universities in India, they have emulated what is there in the bottom half of this slide. And we are completely away from what is there in the top half of this slide. Involvement of industry, which of course should be involved at all levels, right from individual research to group research, but the intense involvement of group R&D to solve broader problems involving multiple people, multiple groups, multiple disciplines. And that requires a different set of skill and different set of knowledge, because you do need the core knowledge of the subjects involved, but you also need to understand and be knowledgeable about how things works in real life, in industry, in the marketplace. And so I think the education sharing between the industry and the university has to be there at all levels. Of course, at the level of individuals, it would be less of industry contribution and more of the university contribution. Whereas at the level of delivery to industry, it should be more of industry contribution and less of university contribution. And if you create an ecosystem of this kind, obviously there will be mutual confidence and industry investments will automatically increase, apart from the fact that there will be greater mutual respect, mutual confidence, mutual trust between people in industry and our people in academia. The second point, which also we need to correct, is our value system. You know, when we are talking about doing the disruptive technologies, I have just given two examples here, again, both from the area of rail transportation. The picture at the bottom right is about the high-speed bullet train, so let's say development of such a technology. On the bottom left is about maglev. Again, let's say development of that maglev. And now let's imagine that we have an institution dedicated to railway technology. For example, our RDSO. Now that can do, in my mind, a good job of incremental improvements in technology, evolution of technology. Because all disciplines are at work in such institutions which are relevant to that activity. Provided we do a good job of research, technology, education, that's another ecosystem which we must do a very quality job of that kind of ecosystem. But if you do that, then it is possible in such an institution that we will be able to develop a bullet train. If you ask a question, will you be able to develop a maglev in such an institution? My answer is, I am doubtful. And that is because you don't have enough people who understand electromagnetics to the level it is required. But what if there is a fundamental research institution in which electromagnetics is a core area where people are researching in this area? And I think such disruptive ideas can emerge with a higher probability in such institutions, but provided again you have an ecosystem where we will be able to translate that idea. Most of our basic research institutions, we do a great job of basic research, but our mindset in terms of translation is not at the right place, I would dare to say. Because we are busy, we want to publish, we don't want to lose on our publication record. Translation requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, and who would do that? So there has to be either, if I am the originator of a particular idea, I should carry it forward, or I should, in the form of a relay race, shake hand and transfer to somebody else who would take it forward. Now, both ways, you need an ecosystem which has to be a significant improvement as compared to the ecosystems that exist. For example, institutional values and the yardstick for measurement of excellence, they have to go together. If you say, I want to go deep in electromagnetics, and then you concentrate on what's the contribution to knowledge you have created, that is perfectly fine. But if your objective of the institution is, no, I will also support out-of-box ideas, some disruptive ideas, and will facilitate that, at least facilitate that and take it to the right place so that translation moves on, then I think you need to recognize such people who facilitate this. And to that extent, the measurement of yardstick of their performance, the yardsticks for their performance has to be designed in that way. So the two issues are heavily interlinked, and so the so-called evaluation of individuals, career progression, all that has to be well calibrated, consistent with the institutional objectives on one side and the value system for evaluation of performance. So this, and of course you must also allow for, all individuals have different attributes. So there should be scope for that kind of a flexibility, and this is very important. It is happening, it is changing. Some institutions, maybe institutions where all of you are connected, many things have happened. But by and large in this country, I think we are miles to go. So I not want to end with some philosophical note. As a society, India has been a knowledge society right from the beginning. But over a period of time, that knowledge engagement with the society or the economy, it kind of got polarized. In fact, I remember when I was in school, college, and also the early stages of my R&D career, engaging with industry or engaging with money-making business was considered evil. Now, we have, for example, we have several discourses of very enlightened people. They attract huge crowds. We all get impressed while listening to such discourses. But does it transform us? Maybe few people. But most of us, next day morning, we get back to our business as usual. And if it comes to religious discourses, we attend that to kind of, we feel uncomfortable out of the day's activity. We attend such a discourse, evening we can get a better sleep, next day morning we are back to usual. Now, I think our knowledge is sitting on a pedestal. And I think we need to bring that knowledge down rather than being on a pedestal. It must become integrated with the society and economy. Because when that happens, the mindset between people in society and the people in the domain of economy, in absence of that knowledge engagement, that will be essentially transactional mindset, the trader's mindset, which is inevitable, which will always be there. But that doesn't create value, neither in money sense and certainly not in terms of ethics sense. On the other hand, if you are engaged with knowledge for creation of technology, creation of products, creation of something that will benefit the society, you are creating values, and the engagement between the society and the economy would actually change. It will go much beyond the transactional mindset, and I am pretty certain that the society will become very virtuous. So the power of knowledge is not just restricting to taking India to number one place in terms of per capita GDP or income, but also in terms of taking India to a place where India can engage in addressing global problems. Otherwise, we will continue to see the bickering that goes on the way we are seeing in several COPs. We have come all the way to COP27, the problem remains where it was. A move towards innovation and entrepreneurship, however, involves a major cultural transformation. And I think it is our S&T institutions where we can do this much better. I'll skip this slide. I mentioned about doing something about rural domain, and that is something that I think is extremely important And I want to only point out that the knowledge era in which we are, the knowledge era, knowledge-based technologies, they actually facilitate democratization and decentralization. So whatever contribution the youth in urban area can make, if we take the knowledge to rural domain, I think rural youth can also make equal or better contribution. And the population in rural area is still higher than population in urban areas. So you can see what contribution it can make to India's economy. So I think we have this double challenge, as I said, bridging the gap between the best and the worst within the country, the disparity gap, and bridging the gap between India as of now and the countries which are performing best in the world. And I'm sure many of you must have heard the example of Mr. Sridhar Vembu, the founder of Zoho Corporation, who actually very wisely moved his global headquarters from San Francisco all the way to Tenkasi, not even Chennai, but Tenkasi. And also similarly, he's a global organization, but he's operating from his villages in Tenkasi and Renigunta in Andhra Pradesh. And he has created a Zoho University. Of course, it may be limited to the demands or the needs of Zoho Corporation. But imagine the transformation it would cause, and imagine that if we have proper science and technology universities in such areas, what transformation it can make to India and the world at large. So we made a small beginning. We have now created a science technology resource center. It is hosted at Gondwana University, Gadchiroli, and it is looking at both livelihood in the domains of aquaculture, bamboo craft, non-timber forest produce. But at the same time, it's going through the incubation programs, academic program development, and as a first step, we have created a certificate course for bamboo craft. Very soon it will get transformed into a diploma level program. Because the question is, an engineer coming out from a university as remote as Gadchiroli, we teach him or her how to make a house of concrete. Why can't we teach them how to make house of bamboo? We used to teach long time back how to make a house out of timber. So I think it is this connect which is extremely important in terms of bridging that gap. So finally, I want to end by recognizing that diversity is the basis of sustainable excellence. We have been always talking about that in the context of real world. Why can't we talk about it in the context of knowledge domain as well? And so this cartoon speaks for itself. I don't have to describe this, but it looks to me that we have to make some of these, and maybe there are many more. But I thought this is just to trigger the discussion. But I would say we should facilitate this transformation going forward. Thank you very much. Can I take off my slides? Yeah, 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Can we turn on the lights of the stage, please? Thank you, Honorable Chief Guest. We heartily appreciate your virtual presence in this national conference. Your talk have provided us with a guideline to proceed more comprehensively for betterment of this noble cause.
Sure. Anyone who would like to ask a direct question to our Honorable Chief Guest? Anyone? from the dais or from the audience would like to connect directly with the chief guest?
Okay, maybe not at this moment.
Maybe later on, sir, in the other sessions. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we now take the honor to welcome Honorable Chairman of the National Organizing Committee, Padma Bhushan Dr. Vijay Kumar Saraswat, to deliver his address and enlighten the gathering.
He served as the Director General of the Defense Research and Development Organization and the Chief Scientific Advisor to the Indian Minister of Defense. He is an eminent missile scientist who spearheaded the development of the country's strategic and tactical missile systems. He is the key scientist in the development of the Prithvi missile and its induction in the Indian Armed Forces. He was responsible for the development of the country's first liquid propulsion engine and missiles, namely Prithvi, Dhanush and Prahar.
He is the principal architect of the ballistic missile defense program, which included major technology breakthroughs. Presently, he is a member of Niti Aayog, Planning Commission of India, and Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru University, Delhi. So we welcome you once again and invite you for your valued speech. Are we connected, sir?
Namaskar, can you all hear me? This is
Yes, sir.
Professor Delhi. I hope I am audible and visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Audible.
Respected Dr. Kapotkar, Dr. P. Goswami, Dr. Mishra, and all the eminent scientists, faculty members, students if they are there, and ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor to be part of this discourse on nurturing leadership for India in science and technology. After listening to Dr. Kapotkar's very lucid talk on this subject, there's not much I can add to, but I would like to take you to the basis of India's science and technology right from the very early days post-independence, and how we have shaped and where are we going and what we should do. Some of the things which I thought we should certainly highlight, because India has tremendous, I would say, acceleration in many fields. But science and technology is something which is always being viewed with a question mark. Post-independence, successive governments believe that it's only science and technology that can bring prosperity in our country. And they had a vision in that direction. For that, large number of visionary leaders of the era of post-independence and some of independence and some of them prior to that, like Homi Bhabha, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, Dr. Stanley Swami, Dr. Kurian, Dr. Kalam, they all contributed in setting up major institutions, major programs like nuclear programs, space program, the green revolution, white revolution, missile technology, and things like that. The thrust of the nation during this period has been mostly to create an ecosystem for S&T development. And we have also seen that large number of institutions like BRC, DIFR, CSIR labs, agriculture research, medical research, DRDO, ISRO, large number of NIT, management institutions, and then also industrial development in the form of steel factory, energy systems, textiles, pharmaceuticals, defense, consumer goods, and many things in the private sector and public sector both have emerged. All that has really brought India into the league of developing nations, because GDP growing every year around 6 to 8%. World is looking at us with hope and willing to invest through FDI in different programs. All of you know what is the today Indian science and technology ecosystem. Many of you are part of this ecosystem. We have CSIR labs with about 39 laboratories. We have Indian Council of Agriculture Research with about 99 institutions and 70 research sectors. We have medical research, ICMR with 30 laboratories. We have DRDO with 50 level 2, we have Department of Atomic Energy with various sectors, Department of Space. We have more than 800 to 900 universities, among them about 300 universities are in the public sector, including IITs and IIMs. And we have a large number of in-house R&D centers. And to support all this, of course, government has created some financial institutions like IDBI and CIFSA to provide industrial interface. But despite all this, the structure and value system in Indian science, technology, innovation system has a lot of problems. What is that? I think Dr. Kapoor shied away from talking exactly what is our problem because of probably he did not want to get into the micro. But I would like to highlight that we have certain problems which are responsible for what is the state of affairs today. We have lack of proper perspective of basic research. We research which has racial connection with social and economic reality. We follow the West attitude, thereby working on their problems and not our problems. More stress is there on abstract research that does not connect with reality. We are like a guy who runs a race of 10,000 meters, who runs about 9,000 meters very fast and gives up in the last 100 meters. We have a very skewed peer review system, and base research in such an ecosystem will hardly generate technology, even if it is funded handsomely. So what are the challenges which are faced by the S&T? One of them is the multi-sector engagement. The full potential of our research partnerships between academia, government, non-profit organizations, and private industry has yet to be realized. This point was highlighted by Dr. Kapoor also. Education, diversity, and inclusion is another area where growing nations, science and technology enterprise will require developing and expanding the future science, technology, engineering, and mathematics workforce. STEM, as we call it today, and I think we need to really work on that. We need to do what is called conducting foundational research, which is considered high risk because outcomes and practical applications are unknown. But this type of research is critical for innovation. All of us are aware of the fact that there are more than about 25 technologies which are emerging on the scenario. Many of you are aware of that, like molecular biology to digital manufacturing to microwave. And I don't have to go into details of that because all of you practice some of that. And they are responsible for today's economic growth. Out of them, the 6 areas which are very critical to the national and economic security, I would highlight. One of them is communications and networking, data science and cloud computing. Artificial intelligence, distributed sensors, edge computing and the Internet of Things. Biotechnologies, precision medicine and genomic technology. Space technologies, undersea technologies and new materials for extreme environments. Autonomous systems, robots and decentralized energy methods. Quantum information science, nanotechnology and advanced microelectronics. Unless we master some of these things, we will not be able to prosper and come out as a leader. Another factor which is going to affect the emerging science and technology is the demand for sustainability. Because we have to change our trajectory. The world has developed technologies over the last centuries, but all of them have been responsible for adverse impact on the planet. And that's why the demand of technology towards sustainability is growing, in which we have to bring together environment science and the development science through research on nature-society interactions. We have to show the concern for enlarging scientific capacity in developing countries and providing scientific support for local action. We have to look for science which is integrated. We have to science that is fundamental. It is a non-linear process and complexity. We have to unify the nature and society. Science that is regional and place-based, where people and ecosystems are, where a transition can happen, where integration takes place, where complexity is understandable. Now, a lot of effort is being made in the country to promote STEM, but for that, there is no cohesive national strategy. We have to engage the public and the youth with STEM via real-world connections with STEM content and professionals. serves groups historically underrepresented in its countries. Dr. Kapoor was talking about rural and urban. I think we have to take it to all parts of our society. We have to spend out of school time a critical pathway for engaging students in their fields. Dr. Kapoor again mentioned a lot about innovation. The most important thing is all science has to be towards innovation. And innovation cannot be done unless we have a very strong R&D ecosystem. So we have to strengthen the foundation, which includes institutionalization of national science and technology framework and educational framework. We have to cultivate science and technology human resources. We have to systemize our science and technology financial support, which is again a major question now. We have to create a science and technology environment which is necessary to efficiently secure R&D. Many of us would be agreeing with me that the public awareness about science is very poor. We have to enhance the awareness of public and seek their support. We have to promote science and technology information system and also develop a monitoring and evaluation system. We have to strengthen institutional capacity for R&D, science education, in particular at secondary and tertiary levels. We have to identify strategic areas for enhancing national and regional research capacity, infrastructure for engineering, innovation, and designing new institutional strategies at national and regional levels. We have to enhance the university-industry collaboration. That is what Dr. Kapoor was talking. We have to enhance technology transfer and interpretation, develop globally comparable science, technology, innovation, monitoring, and analytical policy tools. We have to prioritize our areas. For example, we have to focus on agriculture, modern production and engineering, health and biomedical, material science and engineering, services and digital economy, artificial intelligence, spatial technologies, and so on. We have to make India world's epicenter for disruptive innovation, exceptional research infrastructure, and low barriers to entrepreneurs and startups. We have to become a leader in high-tech manufacturing. We have to invest in R&D and build a globally unparalleled digital stock of science and technology. Basically, we have to innovate largely in basic research, dominate patenting, sow the seeds of future innovation. In the national innovation ecosystem, we have done reasonably well in the last about 5-7 years. We jumped on the global innovation index from 82 to 42, which is a good sign. And the other innovation mission, IDEX, and many other platforms which have been created are reaping the fruits. But I still feel that the basic requirement for innovation, which is a strong R&D capability, is missing, which can leverage this in a competitive manner. In sitting in ETI, we also look at how to leverage science and technology through the diplomacy and overarching objective is to better utilize science, engineering, and technology, diplomacy, and development. We should use S&T collaboration as a springboard for expanding and strengthening long-term two-way relationship. Promote S&T as engines for mutual economic advancement and prosperity. We should inspire new audiences with power of science and technology to improve their daily lives and address and solve common global problems. There's another need to promote worldwide S&T capacity. And in that world S&T capacity, we have to become a leader. For that, we should realize that the world is changing at a rapid pace and it is being driven by science and technology. Business as usual will lead an ever-growing gap between have and have-not nations, and this is what we are facing today. Local S&T capacity is essential. We cannot continue to borrow. It is essential to develop our local S&T capability, using and contributing to the world's valuable store of knowledge. In this, universities have a critical role to play in building the S&T capacity. Investment, of course, is very important and it should not be done in a diffuse manner. Building capacity in agriculture, engineering, health, and social sciences is essential. Stronger R&D capacity in developing nations is not a luxury, but an absolute necessity if nations are to participate as full partners in the world's fast-growing knowledge-based economy. I have some suggestions for reinforcing the fundamental capability of science and technology in India. First of all, develop, secure, and improve career prospects of our human resources and intellectual professionals. We have to improve our research environment. We have to promote reforms of education at all levels. I think NEP 2020 is a major effort in this direction. If all the universities and education institutions can really comply to the suggestions made in the NEP 2020, I think we will be making a step change. We have to develop the next generation of STI professionals. We cannot continue with the old generation. We have to bring diversity and career mobility, promoting cross-field, cross-organization, and cross-sector innovation. Promote academic and basic research as a source of innovation. Promotion of joint research at universities and inter-university research institutes. Strategic enhancement of common platform technology, facilities, equipment, and information infrastructure supporting research and development activities. We have to reform our university and enhance their functions. Reform the state government R&D agency system, which is not contributing to actually India's R&D ecosystem in a big way. Cooperation with other state innovation councils, and of course, ensure major investment in the R&D in future. Now, I want to discuss with you some of the ideas which I have actually inculcated based upon my own experience of working with large number of researchers in that area. In fact, research is something fundamental for becoming a science and technology leader and innovator. If you don't have good research and development base, then innovation will be only in jugaad form, which is not going to be everlasting. So, first of all, we have to understand, for getting leadership in science and technology, we have to understand that there is no substitute for laser-like focus on science to foster social and economic change. Science and technology are not some idealistic good to have. They have increasingly become instruments for progress. To catapult India to the global stage of innovation, we need world-class research institutions, empowered researchers who tackle original problems, and vibrant ecosystem of entertainers. It is a pity that India's scientific output is not commensurate with the talent present in the country. Indian science ecosystem has to pick up relevant problems, multidisciplinary research, building an end-to-end solutions, tight partnerships between industry and academia. India has established a significant export-driven IT industry and has a large and growing number of startups. However, the foundation for this enterprise, the science and research training efforts have not kept pace with the global peers. Technology is changing how economies are organized and how wars are waged, affecting people and nations across the world. To be a leader internationally, a country must take lead in science and technology. Research and innovation lead to a new and differentiated products and highly valuable businesses. Products from Apple and Google are the result of several direct and indirect research efforts that took place in universities. Google's search algorithm was first developed in a topical thesis at Stanford University, while iPhone's proprietary touchscreen, GPS, and Siri are the results of various government-funded projects and university-based research. So, in addition to economic value, it creates the pursuit of high-quality research is a virtue in itself. Intellectual endeavors exercise the human mind and pushes our intelligence and creativity to its limits, creating new knowledge and new products to help us better understand the world and develop useful solutions to practical problems. We should never forget that high-quality research is responsible for all the advances in medicine that help us enjoy better life today. Now we are one of the fastest growing economy in the world. Our creativity potential in scientific research can be realized by similar straightforward plan of policy and actions. Mind my word, policy and actions. Our problems are a matter of institutional structures, social economics, and policy structures. We need to identify the critical building blocks that lead to high quality research. The quality of research cannot exceed the quality of the researchers themselves. Please mind this word. The quality of research cannot exceed the quality of the researchers themselves. Researchers need to work and need a work environment that is intellectually stimulating and supportive of their efforts. They need a wide community of talented colleagues and students who engage each other, affirm each other's discoveries, and help multiply their individual successes. A critical mass of researchers with the right incentives and opportunities to connect, collaborate, and compete is indispensable for our leadership requirement. Presently, a considerable portion of our research is derivative of the work done in the West. I mentioned this earlier also. Since independence, we have had a very few original or impactful scientific ideas. By building the right research culture, getting inspired by our daily problems, following better education methodology, and developing scientific pride, we can ready ourselves to ask original questions and propose big, new, radical ideas. To reap the benefits of our research efforts, we need to convert our research into economic value and public good. I want to just quote that MIT Technology Review list of world's smartest 50 companies does not find even one Indian company. Everybody knows today, and we have been talking about it, that universities are commonly known for teaching. However, they also create and discover wonderful things. Professors also indulge in investigative endeavors, develop new theories, and establish new facts. Conducting research is one thing, creating new products and services with wide applications is another. In fact, this step requires considerable innovation and is led by an entrepreneur. Putting all the technologies together in a compact, usable product emanated to mass production is a challenging task. It requires much additional research than merely that which a scattering of university projects provides, as well as a ton of smart engineering. Universities and their entrepreneurs work in a conspiracy. The universities create new scientific and technical knowledge, while the entrepreneur exploits this knowledge to create new products and services. In the process, we see the creation of economic value, new business, and public goods. For innovation, the first and necessary condition are the courage to attempt to solve vexing problems, the willingness to invest in long-term projects, and dedication to produce high-quality research. More experiments fail to produce robust products. Most often, they fail to provide anything useful to market at all. There must be a critical mass of entrepreneurs to generate success that motivates people. At the same time, there is a need to have respect for failure. Dr. Kalam used to say, in a world where the powers are determined by the share of world's knowledge reflected by patents, papers, and so on, it is important for India to put all our acts together to become a continuous innovator and creator of science and technology intensive product. Mind these words, science and technology intensive product. So S&T can build innovative companies that create irreplaceable products and services with great economic value. Indian-based research will position us to survive and excel in a winner-take-all environment where there is no room for second best. Indian-based research will produce public goods at much lower prices. The materials and hardware for research have never been more accessible and cheap due to internet communication technologies, economies of scale, and the open source movement. We have everything we need to catch up with West. I have some suggestions like the best minds. By far the most dependable indicator of university is the faculty's degree of excellence that determines everything else. A good faculty will attract good students, grants, alumni, and public support and national and international recognition. The most effective methods to maintain or increase reputation is to improve the quality of the faculty. The research funding has been talked many times, Dr. Kapoor also mentioned. Among the G20 countries, India ranks 9th in the money spent on research in PPP terms. Of course, US and China top the list. South Korea, with a GDP which is 1/3 that of India, spent 68% more than us. As a percentage of GDP, our research spending ranks only 15. We cannot attribute these figures solely to the low rate of investment by private industry. In terms of government expenditure on research as a percentage of GDP, we rank 30. Overall, we spend only 0.7% of our GDP on S&T and research. By comparison, US spent 3% and China spent 2%. So, if we have to lead and become a leader, let us work toward, there are 16 principles for building a highly effective S&T research ecosystem. First is the will and the ownership. We need a strong belief in the virtues of science and tenaciousness will follow promote scientific research as a national goal. We should plan for the future. When considering national policy, economic development and scientific research, we need to build institutions and plans with a 10 to 20 year focus. We need to save ourselves from our habit of applying only band-aid solutions that are neither robust nor practical. We have to understand the centrality of the people. Quality of research cannot exceed the quality of research, as I mentioned this earlier. To reap the economic and social rewards for great research, one must attract the best minds to scientific careers. Talented, capable people simply need the right incentive and a professional environment. As caretakers and practitioners of high knowledge, they must feel respected in the society. Let merit be the key principle. Allocation of our resources for research should be merit-based and competitive. We should put power behind our star performance with money, facility, equipment, student support, and decision-making power that they need to further their success. Let us promote autonomy and accountability. Researchers and research institutions work best when they are independent. They should be driven only by their own mission and curiosity. They should have power to implement their plans independently. Bureaucratic rules, regulations, and micromanaging hinder creativity and progress. At the same time, they should be accountable for their results and ethical practices. We have to create differentiators to compete globally. To compete globally, we need to reinforce our current strengths while simultaneously building our new strengths. We can build new strengths by developing new innovative institutional structures, identifying promising but neglected areas, and developing new research processes and policies. We have to create areas of excellence. A careful consideration of our national priorities, research velocity, and particular strengths will help us identify the best areas to focus our efforts. We should then put our best researchers, the right infrastructure, and collaboration to solve the toughest of the problems. We have to raise the bar. Top papers and citations are great, but they cannot be goals in themselves. We must raise the bar and aspire to solving our biggest hurdles and toughest problems. We should respect the ideas and also respect the failures. We need to respect ideas, not just small, safe ones, but crazy and big ones. When we support radical ideas, there will be failures. We must accept and understand that failures also impart knowledge. We have to create awareness. I mentioned to you, good research never results from a compulsion. The way to enable research is to create awareness about it among all, the government, our institutions, the industry, and the society. Awareness of research will celebrate its virtues and provide role models. We have to create competition. Top performers can be spurred to even better performance through competition. Competition is a key factor in motivation, pushing people and institutions to excel, take risks, and explore the out of ordinary. We should remember that money is not a bad word. Many people think that money is a bad word. I don't subscribe to that. Money holds people accountable, provides incentives that helps align interests with people. As a reward, people have a higher potential for performing and a higher chance of believing. We have to create incentives. Individuals and institutions perform better under the right incentives, which must be professional as well as monetary. We have to make the market. Research is a public good. Governments are the largest funders for research. The beneficiaries of the funding are private players and individuals who convert their research into products and services. Government role as sponsor entails making a market for private actors to participate in all parts of the research ecosystem. We have to be dispassionate and transparent. Research must be approached dispassionately, Science is beyond social, political, or religious consideration. Researchers should accept the results regardless of the degree to which they conflict with prior assumptions and hypotheses. Researchers should reveal the result without any fear of political and social implications. Political actors should not seek to silence or censor public intellectuals. Scientific voices should be independent. Finally, I would say focus should be on universities as places for research. In India, 4 times as many researchers are there in labs than compared to in university labs. This contrasts poorly with countries that demonstrate the highest research output. A large part of research budget in my country should go to universities. We should accumulate effort to build leadership in an area. The most important requirement is a critical mass of researchers working collaboratively. One way to accumulate effort in identified area is through mission mode programs. Nanotechnology program, missile program, space program, atomic energy program are good examples of mission mode collaboration. Another way is to create new institutions that focus exclusively in the target field. Make public science aware. Multiple stakeholders must coordinate to create greater public awareness about science and research. Government should raise the profile of scientific research by including it in its strategic priorities and giving it a place in the national discourse. Indian scientific achievement should warrant the same attention as our economic growth numbers, IT power, and startup culture. A few words from the Honorable Prime Minister each year could inspire many young people to pursue a scientific career. Our best researchers should be well-known national celebrities, just like our star entrepreneurs, CEOs, sportsmen, and actors. In addition to salary and lifestyle benefits, we cannot underestimate the importance of professional importance. And finally, we should bring speed and efficiency. One major roadblock is the difficulty of procuring and accessing instruments and materials. Most often the reason is the bureaucracy with their associated committees and tenders. Access of regulation stifles performance. Researchers should be entrusted with the independence to spend their allotted equipment funds with speed as need arises, with understanding that their purchases are subject to audit. So to sum up, I would say the key goals are accelerate knowledge advancement in multidisciplinary, multi-sector and multi-generational collaborations. Cultivate an environment that promotes free-flowing intellectual inquiry and fosters creativity. Design and implement framework for a rapid development and deployment of technology innovation. Shape future scientists, engineers, technologists, and other STEM professionals by engaging students and STEM educators. Serve as proving ground for new creative approaches to organizational structure and function, broadening participation, workforce development, STEM education, and methods for engaging all sectors of the Indian research ecosystem. Design and offer in-person and virtual education and experience-based learning programs, and contribute to frameworks, policies, and practices for responsible, ethical, and equitable design and use of technologies of the future. With these three things, I would say that my own experience of doing research and some of the ideas which have come from different sectors, I have tried to combine and give how we can be a leader. But all that is, as I mentioned to you, the research output is as good as the researcher himself. So we have to become good researchers, and that is the personal development, the ecosystem, and all put together, that the investment, participation of industry, participation of leadership, but together, accumulated effort can only take us to the leadership position. Thank you very much.
May we have the lights on the stage?
Thank you so much, sir. We acknowledge your virtual presence amidst your hectic daily schedule. We hope your address have paved way to understand the strategies to achieve leadership for India in science and technology.
We would like to open the floor for any kind of question directly to our Honorable Sir. Any question from the dais or from the audience? Would you like to connect directly with our speakers. Okay, we will wait for another couple of minutes. If there is any question, then we can directly pose. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to break for tea, and we will be right after back 10-15 minutes for the presentations to be presented by the dignitaries over the dais. In the meantime, the media personnel can take the video bites from the dignitaries on the dais.
I'd just like to announce, especially for Dr. Kapatkar and Dr. Saraswat, that we will have a short break, but after that, the program is that our Bhatnagar awardees here would like to speak briefly, including a brief self-introduction, and then we have an interactive session, and also an interactive session between the faculty and the awardees and the students and the awardees, where they will be given an opportunity to ask questions, but also a direct interactive session between the two dignitaries as well as the Bhatnagar awardees. So I hope you will be able to spend some more time with us, but I do take this opportunity also to thank you very much for really sparing your time with us, and we hope that you will be with us tomorrow as well as day after tomorrow, so that you can guide us during our deliberations and taking recommendations and so on.
Dr. Goswami and Dr. Mitra, may I be excused now? I have some pressing things waiting for me.
Oh, okay. Sure, I know you have to spare time from your union budget meeting, so thank you very much, Dr. Saraswat, and we hope to connect with you later sometime when you are free.
Yeah, we'll meet some other time. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kakotkar, will you be available for some more time, or?
Yeah, I will be available today.
Okay.
Other days, I'm not sure.
All right. So we'll keep the link open, and whenever you do get time, we'll be, very happy to have your presence.
Yeah.
So we'll just break for 15 minutes because can't offer you tea. Sorry, but we'll just be back in a few 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes.
Media person can come over